Hi, this is Wanderings with Adammichlaw. Today's subject is the subject of death and rebirth. Every person in life goes through a series of deaths and rebirths. The question is the meaning, the boon, the spiritual message that one could find in the death, and the hope and purpose that will be gained to move them to the next level of rebirth. When we're at our lowest ebb, in the biggest, most difficult challenges, we oftentimes don't see the light. But if we were to see life as a story, a hero's quest, a vision from the beginning to end, and the goals are not physical goals, but rather the spiritual goal of knowing oneself, of being in touch with the divine, of getting to be a true person. That is the goal of life. And to find that meaning and purpose in life, we have to realize that life has obstacles and challenges, things that we're going to go through that are going to make us suffer, and we're going to have questions. But how we react, what we learn at those moments, will form the rebirth self. And every culture, religion, has these as part of them. But the crisis of modern man is not seeing these stories as stories, but realizing they are eternal truths. They are part of the human soul and the human condition. Lest you think this is just talk, some of the most popular adventure movies have been based on this idea of the hero's quest, the idea of the person's struggle, both with themselves and with the enemy, and to become the person they're going to become, to slay the dragon and gain the spiritual boons to be found at the end, and then to spread those boons with the world, which may or may not appreciate what you have to offer. But the spiritual gains themselves are infinite. Works which are based on the hero's quest are things like Star Wars, The Lord of the Rings, many adventure and hero type movies. But even on a smaller scale, I think all sorts of movies, the idea of character development itself is really the story of the human existence. So the three books which talk about the hero's quest the most are the books Heroes with a Thousand Faces by Joseph Campbell. Another book which I've been reading is called Rites and Symbols of Initiation with Marcia Eliade. This book speaks about how in every culture that has initiation, death and rebirth is one of the main themes. That when a person's about to rise to the next level, they suddenly have a death, a physical, spiritual, emotional death, a falling of levels. And only from that place of absolute brokenness can they be reformed. The example that's given oftentimes is that of a seed. A seed must be totally broken and decayed and rotted in the earth before it grows to become a tree. And it will rot and disappear and look as if nothing. But then when that winter is over, it will come back to be a mighty tree, a tree that will bear fruit, fruit that others can eat. That is the quest for meaning in difficult times. If we don't have sources of meaning, of myth, of connection, of spiritual growth, how can we ever possibly hope to get out of a difficult situation and manage through it? But if we see our life as a journey, a hero's journey, of one which our infinite quest is to know ourselves and know the divine, then we have much more hope. So one of the paradigms I do in my therapy service is something called the Vision Quest, which I based off this book, this amazing book by Stephen Foster. And it speaks about, again, these universal quests throughout traditional cultures, these rites of passage, that people who are stuck can find a sense of meaning by going through some sort of trial or initiation. The trial or initiation that he mentions there in that book is a 3-day fast in the wilderness, where a person goes without any food, and in that place they're all totally by themselves, and they're faced to confront themselves, their loneliness, their deepest, darkest fears. But what they gain in that place, they then have to bring back. You see in Jewish cultures as well, when they speak about the Merkava, which is a spiritual ascent to the higher levels, people think of it as this highest meditation of going to some other worlds. And it speaks about this in the Talmud. But the truth is, it's there actually called the descent into the Merkava. It's actually a lowering into a purely psychic world. And there, we're going to be confronted with all sorts of obstacles and confusing things. But the person there who maintains their clarity is the person who will make it out and bring the light to the world. And the one person in that story of the four who descended into the Merkava who made it out was Rabbi Akiva. And they say the reason he made it out was because the lessons he learned, he wanted to impart unto others. For every great healer is a person who has been broken. How can a person who is self-concerned, who is ego-based, possibly have anything to give to others? But the person who has gained and struggled through their own quests and tribulations and learned at the top of that mountain or the bottom of the pit, what is the meaning of existence, the meaning of suffering, that person can offer to the world. So too, I want to say that the world itself sometimes needs to go to another level, to another initiation, that great travails, difficulties can befall the whole world. And the world itself needs to grow by increasing human connection, by people caring and helping each other, getting out of their situation, finding hope and giving hope to others, lighting their own candle and then lighting others. Because those of us who have descended to hell and have come out, we are truly the ones who have the gift to pass on that light to others. And once you've been through those trials and succeeded and grown, you will find it gets easier and easier. For everything that goes on in the world that is difficult is a great trial, a trial of suffering, a trial of meaning. And the great challenge of our society is to find meaning in the most dire of circumstances. Sometimes the world needs to be shaken up, and God needs to put the world through a great trial in order for new things to come out. This is what we see in the world, that sometimes the whole world must go through a vision quest, must go through a great trial in order for great knowledge, connectedness, wonder, light, and love to come into the world. The vision quest, the hero's quest, the death and the rebirth, the breaking down of the seed into a new tree. This is what we must have as our meaning, our purpose, our focus in difficult times. That this is just one bump in the roller coaster. And just like when you're riding a car and you go down a hill, that momentum will lead you to go back up again. That is the meaning of death and rebirth. The metaphor that for every spiritual death, every breaking down, comes the potential for a great phoenix-like rebirth to become the people that we can be. All the best. This is Adammichlaw with Wanderings. Please be in touch if you would like to speak personally about your personal situation of death and rebirth, or whatever you're struggling with to become the person that you need to be in the world, the ever-changing and crazy the world that we're in today. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you later with further content. This is Adammichlaw. Be well.